Welcome to this edition of Dragon Dialogue. I'm Athletic Director Al Cooper. I'm here with New Palestine football players. We're going to talk to all of our seniors today, and really excited about taking this inside look to New Palestine football. And we'll talk a lot about our team, our accomplishments, and even Coach Ralph, possibly even our senior legacy. So right now, I want these guys to introduce themselves. They're going to tell you who they are and what position they played. We'll start with you, Joe.
My name is Joseph Isbicki, and I play linebacker.
My name is James Crumwell, and I play linebacker.
My name is Nick Brickens. I play running back and safety.
My name is Alex Neely, and I play quarterback.
My name is Duke Blackwell, and I play wide receiver.
Logan Green, corner and wide receiver.
Fellas, thanks a lot for being on the show with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about our tournament run. Pretty successful the last few years. Didn't quite get to the state title this year, but I'll tell you it was an outstanding effort. Talk a little bit about the physicality of this year's run compared to even last year's run. I mean, I'm going to say it was a little easier for us last year. Talk about that. Nick, we'll start with you.
Last year we had more players, less people going both ways, so we didn't take as many bumps and bruises, but this year we figured it out and figured out how to get through it, but that was kind of a struggle.
Talk about how physical starting at the tournament run. You know, we played Martinsville, we played Columbus East. What was the difference in physicality this year? Because we did play Columbus East last year. Was it a different physicality moving forward in the tournament with Zionsville and Castle and then ultimately Fort Wayne Snyder? Talk about that.
Obviously, with those teams having a lot more players than us and being up a class, have a lot more to choose from on the sidelines. They have more guys playing fresh legs. So for them to come in and do that, it was obviously a lot more physical games than they were last year, and even bumping up a class this year made it just that much more competitive.
Pass the mic to Duke. Tell us about how physical the defensive backs were.
Most of the time, the weight room helped us a lot with blocking and breaking tackles from the DBs. Yards after contact for us were really good, and found the way to get the job done.
DBs, we're hard hitters, you know. No, I'm just kidding. We got the job done, but are we talking about our DBs or theirs? Our DBs. We were all fundamentally sound. We had Coach Hall, technique, just yelled at every day. And, yeah, we just got the job done each play, each game.
James, you and Joe were an integral part of our linebacking crew with regard to, especially from the defensive side. And Joe, you made a lot of the calls in terms of adjustments on the line. But talk about how the physical side of that run defensively for you two in particular, because you guys were in every down. James, you were coming back from an injury with regard to our tournament run. Talk about how you worked through the injury and then leading up to the state championship game.
Well, the injury happened week 9, and after that we had a bye week to Martinsville. So I had a lot of time to rest for that, but it still hurts to this day. Like, I just battled through it. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
What do you think, Joe? Talk about the physicality.
This year was a lot different than last year for me personally because instead of playing the outside linebacker, I played middle, and you kind of have to play with the big boys more. So there was a lot more downhill running, and I think with moving up a class, there was a lot more downhill stuff. Instead of trying to get around us and throwing over top of us, people tried to come right at us and show us what they were about. And for the most part, we did pretty good and showed them what we were all about, and I think we kind of held our own up until that last game where it didn't really go like we wanted to, and we probably could have played a lot more physical, but sometimes that just doesn't happen.
Ironically, about that game, it seemed to me like, talking about the Snyder game, state championship game, record-setting game, all of that, it seemed like they wanted to go around us or over us instead of right at us. And you talked about, you know, in the tournament, 5A teams like to go at you. How difficult was that for us? Obviously, it was a little bit of an adjustment for us. We were down 21-0. How were we able to adjust in that game? I'll start with you, Logan.
They were definitely fast. So when we were down 21-0, I didn't know what we were doing. But then we just went to man coverage and helped us out, I guess.
Set a few records in this game offensively. You know, Alex, you get a lot of credit for that. I know you would like to recognize other people for that. Tell us about your take on that game. You took a really tough hit in the third quarter of that game that I remember us talking about. You thought, I'm not sure where I'm at. But talk about that adjustment, because you performed excellently after that. So
obviously, you never want to take a hit like that. You'd think you'd have a little bit more trust in your linemen to make sure you don't. But after that hit, I was a little out of it, but I knew I had to finish the game and just kind of had to fight through it. But all joking aside, the linemen did a great job the whole game, keeping me protected and giving me time to get the ball out and protection to get it to the receivers.
talk about what your greatest, you guys, I'm going to pass the mic here. I'll start with you, Joe. Talk about what the greatest memory or possibly even accomplishment that you feel will signify your legacy, maybe even your legacy or your team's legacy in New Palestine football. Got it? All right.
It'd be a lot harder, or it'd be really hard to just point out one thing. I think it'd be more or less the fashion we won in and who it was and where it was. We were the first team in, I think, 20 or 30 games to beat Columbus East on their home field. I think that's something that'll go down in our legacy for sure. And we were the first team to ever win a state championship for football in our high school. So I think that's really something we're going to be remembered for. And we were the only team to ever make it back to the state championship again. We didn't get to win it this time, but I think that's pretty significant. And also just kind of the way we lead around the school. I think the senior class has really helped the young guys too. Because before us, and the guys before us did a great job of it too, there wasn't a whole lot of culture. And I'm sure Coach Ralph brought a lot of that in. But we've always liked to win, and we've always had great coaches, and we've always been really good. So I think that's helped us out a lot.
Well, my favorite memory was a state game. Even though we didn't win, we all fought together and we worked our butts off the whole game. Like, we were down, we came back, and even though we came close but didn't get anything, I mean, that was still a great game.
Still a great accomplishment,
Yeah.
absolutely.
My favorite memory was how we won and lost. We won with pride and we lost with pride. So we won with our heads up and we lost with our heads up. Even though it sucked, we still had our heads up.
My favorite memory would probably be not so much football, but the stuff that happened when we were off the field, whether it be like team dinner and stuff like that, or playing Foursquare in the locker room before practice.
Foursquare, what is Foursquare? Tell us about it. Explain Foursquare.
It's a game where you have one bounce to get it to another person's square, and you have to let it bounce before you hit it, or else you get out. So, and whoever was king the longest, whoever got to serve the ball the longest, won the game for the day.
What was the reward for the day?
There wasn't one.
Just
It's
bragging
just, yeah.
We got pretty serious.
Yeah.
Taped out of
rights. Did a lineman ever win?
No, linemen usually never won.
I see. That's great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, except for Patrick. Patrick won a lot. Yeah.
I can see that. He's a baseball player.
Yeah, that was our one.
Baseball player. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just the legacy. Hopefully, we just left behind a tradition of hard work and a winning culture around here.
Perfect.
As legacy goes, I hope we showed everyone that it takes a lot of hard work to make your own legacy, like the weight room, sprints, workouts, and waking up at 6 a.m. once a week to get those extra reps in.
My favorite memory would have to be Yazel shenanigans in the locker room, either crying like a baby or doing something stupid. But the legacy part, I think our overall record from freshman to senior year really tells us about our legacy.
And I believe that that record's 50-2 over the course of the 4 years. When we come back, we're going to talk with some fellows who weigh a lot more than these guys. Don't go away. We are back here on Dragon Dialogue. We're here very fortunate to have really the strength and the heart and soul kind of behind our New Palestine football team this year. We've got offensive and defensive linemen, and we're very fortunate and glad for them to be with us today. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves to you. We'll start with you, Matt.
My name is Matt Moeller, and I was an offensive lineman.
Nick Deerheimer, and I play left tackle.
Michael Woodall, and I did play right tackle.
Andrew Yazel, I played center.
Thaddeus Muse, nose guard.
Trevor Woodall, tight end linebacker.
Patrick Hopkins, long snapper.
John Michael Wallen, D tackle.
Fellas, I'm going to step out in front here because I think this is something that's, I want to see your reaction to this real quick. Tell us about what it is that makes your group a brotherhood. You know, I think when you talk about football teams, without what happens up front, it makes it everything else difficult. And your brotherhood kind of is unrecognized. Tell us about what makes offensive and defensive linemen tick. We'll start with you, Thaddeus.
What I think that makes the brotherhood so strong is that, I mean, you got the wide receivers and all of them, and you know they're mostly the stars, and we really don't get no recognition. And then you know we always hang out, and we love to eat, so we always have fun, and that's about it. That's on Ye.
Andrew?
I think what makes us a brotherhood is I can just go to these guys for just about anything. We're all real kind of tight-knit, and we treat each other like a family. And you know, we always go over to Deerheimer's house after games, and we just pig out. And like Thaddeus said, we always eat, and that's where we have our best conversations when we're around the dinner table. So.
What is your favorite food as a group?
Ooh.
You got to say Chinese.
I'm thinking for a group, it's between sushi and wings. That's about sushi and wings. That's probably the two, and we put them down by the pound. I mean, it's incredible.
How many pounds, Michael?
Well, I mean, we had like probably like 5-pound bins from Marsh of wings, but we only finished 2 of them. Yeah. They're kind of disappointed in that, but yeah.
We'll talk about brotherhood.
Last year, at least the offensive linemen went through a lot of pain and suffering together. So I think once this year started, that kind of bonded us together quite a bit more. And then, like they said, we always hang out and eat together. So
I think for any team, the offensive line and defensive line are just kind of already brothers because we don't get any recognition and we're in the trenches together. But I think this team, more than anything, we all started together last year, and we had some rough times. We learned together and everything, and just we literally spend what's different from other teams. We spend literally every minute together, like outside of football, inside of football. Like they said, we're literally always together. It's just kind of a brotherhood you can't ask for. It's just something that happens.
One of the things that really bonded us together is that when all the skill players got to go and do something fun like a 7-on-7 at the Colts complex, the linemen, we got to go out back and have probably the worst practice of the year. And it's the stuff like that you can't replace. us always working together and working as a family.
We're the dogs, and we like to just get after it. I mean, it's all fun and game, but when it comes down to it, we all got to go hard and give everything we've got, regardless of what our day's like or what we're going through, or we just got to give 100% that day.
Well, being the long snapper is obviously something different, but yeah, I'm only on the field like 13 times a game, if that, sometimes. But when I'm snapping a field goal, I guess they're all welcoming me onto the field. So yeah, I fit right in with them, I guess. So.
Trevor?
Oh, like obviously I'm not a lineman, but my twin brother is, and just seeing them, like when we go to Deerheimers after the games, just seeing them bond, like how close they are, it's pretty amazing. I think it all starts in the weight room in the off season. Obviously all these guys, they lift a lot of weight, and they're all top of the weight room, and I don't know, they're all always close knit.
Now, I do want to make mention both Trevor and Michael. Unfortunately, these two individuals could not participate this year due to injury, although Michael did participate in their first two games. You were hurt in the second game, in the Richmond game. Ironically, both, is it the same knee? Both left knee, same area, ACL injuries, season ending. You felt, the rest of you, I'm not going to talk to these guys, and I know how sad they are about it. How did it affect you guys knowing what they had been with you been through with you in the weight room, the win the day attitude, everything that happened, which they obviously, are a big part of? Talk about how that affected you, not only mentally, but, in terms of dealing with that. Nick?
I think a career or season-ending injury like that would just, I don't even know what I would do and how I'd react to it, but these guys, they came to every single practice. Even the day of surgery, they came to a practice and a game, which is insane, the amount of positivity they had towards it, and they didn't look down on it, they just attacked it every day. And I think that was really important to recovery and everything, but I think it helped them, again, to have their brothers around them and help them through it.
For us, I think it brought us all back to earth a little bit, because for 3 years we hadn't really had any major injuries. It had been little cuts and bruises and minor things, but we had never had someone go down in a game and not be able to come back. And that was really tough for us. I remember halftime going into the trainer's room to see Michael, and it was not a fun experience for a lot of big boys crying. Yeah, like Matt said, when you see somebody go down on the field and then you realize that it's one of your guys, you kind of hope for the best, maybe like a rolled ankle. I mean, he's down, so there's no best out of it. So you're hoping for like a rolled ankle, and then you go into halftime and he's laying in there on the training table. And then you get the news from the doctor that it's a ACL, and in the back of your head, you're thinking that, it's the last time you're ever going to play with this guy who you've spent probably 90% of your time with. It's just kind of heartbreaking. And you can ask all these guys, I was literally crying during the plays in the second half, because just thinking about all the good times with Michael and beating him up on scout team and whatnot freshman year, and seeing their mom, Michael and Trevor, just because that they're her two senior sons. I mean, and they're not going to play in a game again. So but it's good and gold. I mean, me and Michael are still friends. I don't blame him for being soft. So.
Yeah, it was a devastating loss for you two to go down, and we were excited that you got getting back to it, and I hear that you're running again. You're starting to jog, and I'm happy for you. Yeah, I'm happy for you.
Staying injury-free, you mentioned that what obviously the price that we pay, you guys have paid in the weight room, keeps you in shape and injury-free in some instances, obviously. But talk about your commitment in the weight room. I'm going to start with you, Andrew, because you have some records here, weightlifting records. What's the significance? What changed you from your freshman year to your sophomore to your junior to be so competitive in the weight room?
I think freshman year, as Coach mentioned in the awards banquet, I had a boot on. I broke my ankle in freshman year wrestling, and he kind of looked at me and was like, that's not an excuse to be in here, and that's kind of like the attitude I guess he instilled in me right just with one question: why are you not in the weight room? And I ask kids that all the time, like, why are you not in the weight room, especially the younger guys, because they're just messing around. They don't have anything broken on them. So that attitude switched to my sophomore year from being one of the weakest kids in the weight room to, obviously breaking records and having guys in here like Gabe Estes and Noah Grable and Sterling Curran to kind of help me through that and see what those guys were all about. It just kind of lit the fire that I wanted to be the best in one aspect, which was the weightlifting part. And then that just carries over to the field. I mean, you can ask these guys, when we grab a hold of somebody from another team, and you can just feel how much stronger than you are than them, and you could literally you could put them out of the game if you wanted to. If you really wanted to, you could just put somebody out of the game. It's just, it's a great feeling. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, that was. I think also, lifting helps you on the field and everything, but I think showing up just shows your teammates like how committed you are to them. Like from a week after state to the start of the season, every single day you're with them, and like, you could have other things to do. I've missed family vacations and everything, but that just shows that you're like actually committed to this brotherhood and everything. I think if you don't show up, it's just kind of like how much do you actually want it? Because after last year's state game, we just wanted to attack it again and be back where we were. So we just decided to get after it every single day.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you come in sore and everything, and you walk through the door and you look at each other, you're like, yep, okay, I'm here again. It's not exactly like fun, but I guess it's just something you kind of got to do. And
I hear what you're saying. Is that sacrifice or is that dedication?
I'd say dedication.
Dedication. Collectively, they all said dedication. I think that's a difference, because dedication is a positive way to look at it. Sacrifice can, in a lot of ways, be negative. And I know you talked about what you had given up, family vacations, those kind of things. And in terms of keeping us injury-free, what we did in the weight room and how that manifested what happened on the field with yardage records 2 years in a row, scoring records 2 years in a row this year, and one less game. And a lot of that credit obviously goes to you. And you mentioned you wanted to throw Alex under the bus. I'm going to give you a chance to do that here. But he would be, and he's made many comments about he wouldn't be able to do some of the things, both not only offensively, without you guys. And because he kind of picked on you in the first segment a little bit. So you wanted a chance, and I'm going to give it to you. But before we do that, and as we do that, setting what sets us apart, or what set this particular team apart from other things. You mentioned grabbing somebody and knowing that you were stronger, so that made it different. Obviously, strength is one of those. Is there another aspect, a mental aspect, that got through that? But if you want to throw Alex under the bus, now's the time.
No, I'm not going to throw Alex under the bus. The state game, whatever happened. I mean, mistakes happened. It was two good teams playing against each other. But the mental aspect of the part of the game is a lot of guys, playing across them, you can just see that they break. I mean, if we're 3 touchdowns in and it's happened in the first quarter and they know that there's no chance that they could ever come back, some guys just break, and you just see them just put their head down and they're just walking to the line. And we score and they just come up to the line on goal line and they just don't know what to do. They won't even come after you. They won't even put any effort in, and it's just a good feeling to have somebody just pretty much crumble underneath you, and he just knows that nothing he can do can happen. And that's just because we put so much work in, and that's kind of like the credit that we get.
I think with the state game and being down by so much at half, I think what made us different was that we grew up together and everything, and we just looked at each other, and we didn't want that to be the way that we ended it. We knew it being down 21 was a pretty hard feat to do, but we just looked at each other and we knew what we had to do to come back. We had to keep the ball moving and everything. We had to limit the mistakes. I think us being so close-knit and family-oriented, that's why we did it.
So if you look at our little lineup here, we are some big boys. I think our average weight's about 250. And one of the things that just made us so mentally tough was our conditioning program. It's a program that Coach Ralph brought in, and it's awful, especially when you are above 200 pounds. We have to run a lot, and we have been pushed to our breaking point. We've been there 100 times over, and so when it comes to game time and we're pushed to the limit, we know how to respond.
I feel like for the most part it would be the brotherhood that sets us apart from other teams, because Coach Blackwell always made mention of it. Get all the hats to the helmet on the defense side of the ball, and everybody rushing to it. And when you play other teams, you don't see all the helmets flying to the field when one of our guys takes off and makes a touchdown, and then the next play they don't. You watch it on film and watch other teams do it, and they don't continually, like later in the game, they don't start all chasing. And when you're playing them, when you're so far ahead, like Yazel said, they get down and they start to break, and they don't chase after you anymore. And it's like, I feel like our brotherhood is the thing that sets us apart from most. So
I think you guys hit it all. I'm good.
You know, I think just the mental preparation, the scouting report, Coach Ralph always has a good plan and way of attack. Like, hey, this kid, he looks weak on film. And speaking of film, people, you know, we're in film. We're watching film 24/7. I know Joseph, we made jokes that his school GPA was going down, but his film GPA was going up just because he prepared so hard. And, you know, I think that sets us apart.
Speaking of film sessions, we got about 2 minutes here, okay? Does Coach Ralph ever miss a misstep or a missed block, or does Coach Buchanan miss anything on film? I've been in the film sessions a few times, and it's pretty technical in terms of what his expectation is. Talk just briefly, we got about 2 minutes here before we sign off. Talk about the film sessions and how that, all right, we'll start with you, Matt.
Well, no matter how good you played, you know, you could think that you played great. You beat somebody by 70. Here's the real lesson. You are awful. You are terrible, and you should not be playing football. There are always things to fix in Coach Ralph's mind, and there really are, and it's how we always got better throughout the games and how we've gotten to a point of excellence that we're at. But film sessions are not what you would say fun.
On the note, if they ever miss anything, pretty much no, ever. Even if, like, I've had a pancake block where I drove the guy 20 yards, threw him on the ground, and for some reason I didn't take my first step correctly, or like something's got to be wrong with it. Like, I'll be so happy about it, I'll be like, hey, watch this play, and then I'll get yelled at for it. But there's some times where he'll replay a play over and over again, and you know you messed up, and you're just hoping he does not see it. And when he clicks the next, the biggest relief in the world comes over you because he did not see it.
Yeah, this year, I think in Pendleton, Matt Moeller should have blocked 100%. Yeah. And Coach Buchanan was talking with Coach Ralph about it, and he said no one's allowed to block 100%. We have to find something wrong, and they said his footwork wasn't good enough, or he wasn't as physical as he should be, or something, and ended up not getting 100%. So they're pretty technical.
Yeah, so being the center, you can't see me from the stands, but on film, I'm right in the middle, and I'm the only guy who has the ball in his hand on the line. So when I make a mistake, my mistake's pretty obvious because most of my mistakes are the ball's either 25 feet to the right or 25 feet above his head. So,
Doing something you can't see.
yeah, and it doesn't matter what happened after the snap. I mean, I could have got cut blocked and hurdled over the dude and smacked another guy and drove 5 guys off the sideline. Yeah, I would have just got ripped. It's pretty rough. I'm not the best center in the world as far as snapping the ball. Probably not at all. But yeah, that's just me personally. But yeah, coaches, they'll literally find anything that's wrong, even if you did have a perfect game as far as just being a lineman in general, if you're center or tackle. And they'll find something. I mean, there's always errors that they'll find. And like Nick said, if you make a mistake or, you just completely whiffed on a block, you hope somebody else made a bigger mistake, so they just skip right over you. It's pretty rough in film. But, again, that's where a lot of us come together because, if you see something that good happen, you look over at your buddy and you guys just both kind of shake your head, or if you see something really bad happen, you both look over and you're just kind of like, you're getting it for that one, or something like that. But yeah, it's always been fun, and that's where that's where you can kind of tell in film. It's like, oh, who's getting the belt this week or whatever, and that just brought us closer, I guess.
As Ye said, we both play in the middle, but I'm on the opposite side of the ball. But if I don't fill in the right gap and Joe gets clogged up by some guards, I'm definitely gonna get ripped by Coach Rand. So film's not that fun for me.
Obviously, I couldn't play this year, but just seeing Coach Blackwell on defense, because I play linebacker, and just watching him, like how he takes film in, and you didn't take your first step right, or you didn't fill the right gap, you get ripped. But it makes us better in the long run.
That's all the time we have today. I want to tell you fellas, though, every single one of you, number one, I appreciate you. You are wonderful ambassadors and representatives of New Palestine High School. You deserve a lot more credit than you got in the paper. That's why this segment is the longest for you guys. So I know 2 things. One, as you talk about your coach and how he responds to you in a lot of different ways, I know that he loves each and every one of you. He will do anything for you. Coach Horan, any of your coaches, Coach Buchanan, they will do anything they possibly can for you guys, and as will I. And I really appreciate everybody being with us today. We'll see you next time on Dragon Dialogue. Thank you.